Most people think clothes were invented because it got cold. You imagine a shivering caveman in the middle of an ice age, wrapping himself in a mammoth hide just to keep his toes from falling off. Wrong. If clothing was just about warmth, the indigenous tribes of the sweltering Amazon or the scorching African savanna would have stayed stark naked for the last 50,000 years. They didn't. Most people think fashion is a choice, a way to look good at a brunch. It's not. Clothing is a high-level biological hack. It's an external organ we developed to bypass the limitations of our own skin. 90% of why you're wearing what you're wearing right now has nothing to do with the weather. It's happening in the subconscious, in the realm of social signaling, parasite defense, and evolutionary psychology. While you're worrying about if your shirt matches your shoes, your lizard brain is using your outfit to broadcast 1,000 data points about your status, your fertility, and your tribal allegiance. Today, I'm going to show you the untold code of the human wardrobe. We aren't talking about the history of the sewing machine, we're talking about human hardware and why we became the only naked ape to start wearing a second skin. Let's dive in. The genetic clock. How do we know when we started wearing clothes? You can't dig up a 100,000-year-old t-shirt. Fabric rots. But biology leaves a trail. To find the date, we don't look at the clothes, we look at the parasites. There are two types of lice that live on humans, head lice and body lice. Here's the hidden signal. Body lice don't live on your skin. They live in your clothes. By using DNA sequencing to see when body lice evolved away from head lice, scientists found the exact moment we started providing them a home, the discovery. It happened roughly 170,000 years ago. This was long before the massive migration into the cold north. Humans were still in Africa. It was hot. So if we weren't trying to stay warm, why were we putting on skins? The parasite defense. Most people think we lost our fur to stay cool. That's half the truth. The untold reason we became the naked ape was to get rid of the biological hotel. Thick fur is a playground for ticks, fleas, and mites that carry deadly diseases. By shedding our fur, we became harder to infect, but naked skin is thin and vulnerable. We needed a shield we could take off and wash. The hack. Clothing was our first piece of removable hardware. It gave us the benefits of fur, protection from scratches, sun, and biting insects, without the downside of permanent parasite infestation. We didn't invent clothes to stay warm. We invented them to stay clean. We traded a permanent, dirty coat for a temporary, replaceable one. The concealed signal, mating hardware. This is the part that gets uncomfortable for most people. In almost every other primate species, when a female is fertile, it's a public broadcast. There are physical swelling signals. Everyone in the troop knows. In humans, ovulation is concealed, and clothes played a massive role in this evolutionary pivot. By covering the body, early humans moved the mating game from the biological to the psychological. The secret signal. Clothes allowed for the mystery effect. By covering up, humans forced potential partners to invest more time in reading the code rather than just reacting to a raw biological signal. This triggered the development of long-term pair bonding. If you can't tell exactly what's happening under the hood at a glance, you have to stick around, communicate, and build a relationship. Clothing didn't just hide our bodies, it built our social structures. Social software. As soon as we had clothes, we realized they were a user interface. Before you even open your mouth, your clothes have already told a story. In the wild, a lion can't fake being a higher status lion. He is what he is. But humans? We learned how to write the code of our appearance. A specific shell necklace, a certain type of leopard skin, or a specific dye didn't just provide warmth, it signaled resource control. The hack. Clothing became our first form of social software. It allowed a physically weaker human to signal, I am a high-value leader because I have the resources to wear this rare hide. We stopped competing with our muscles and started competing with our kit. 90% of modern fashion is still just this ancient status hack. You're not buying a brand, you're buying a signal that says you have the surplus energy and wealth to afford it. The ornamentation paradox. Psychology shows that humans were wearing jewelry, beads, shells, and ochre before we were wearing functional clothes. Think about that. We were decorating ourselves while we were still naked. This proves that the primary function of clothing was never utility. It was communication. Early clothes were likely body art that became permanent. We went from painting our skin to wearing paint in the form of fabric. We are the only animal that uses artificial ornamentation to attract mates. While a peacock is stuck with his feathers, a human can change their feathers every day to suit the environment. This made us the most adaptable players in the history of evolution. The barrier effect, psychological armor. There's a concept in psychology called enclothed cognition. It's the idea that the clothes you wear literally change the way your brain processes information. In one study, people performed better on attention-based tasks when they were told they were wearing a doctor's lab coat versus a painter's smock. It was the same coat, but the meaning changed the hardware's performance. We started wearing clothes because they acted as a psychological anchor. When you put on the hunting hide, you become the hunter. When you put on the tribal leader's robes, your brain switches into authority mode. We didn't just wear clothes to change how others saw us. We wore them to change how we saw ourselves. Us versus them. In the prehistoric world, meeting a stranger was a 50-50 chance of death. You needed a way to identify friend or foe from a distance, further than the eye could see a face. Clothing became the tribal firewall. Specific weaving patterns, specific colors, or specific shapes told the world which server you belonged to. The hack. If you saw a guy across the valley wearing the same blue-dyed wool as you, your cortisol levels dropped. You were safe. If he was wearing red, your adrenaline spiked. Clothing allowed us to form massive super tribes because we could recognize our own kind without knowing their names. It was the first identity tag in human history. The persistence hunting patch. Biologically, humans are the greatest long-distance runners on Earth. We have a sweat hack that allows us to run prey to death in the midday sun. But being hairless and sweaty has a downside. When the sun goes down, our body temperature craters. The solution. Clothes were the software patch for the sweat hack. They allowed us to be active hunters during the day by taking them off or wearing light skins, and survivors at night by bundling up. Clothing gave us the ability to occupy two different biological niches at the same time. We became the variable animal. The modesty myth. Most people think we wear clothes because we're ashamed of being naked. Psychology suggests it's the other way around. Shame is a result of wearing clothes, not the cause. Once clothing became the standard, being naked became a signal of vulnerability or loss of status. We didn't cover up because we were embarrassed. We became embarrassed because we realized that naked equals low resource. Staying clothed became a way of saying, I am in control of my signals. It's the ultimate power move. A king is always clothed. A slave is often stripped. Clothing is the architecture of human dignity. Clothing is not a choice. It is a biological imperative that allowed us to leave the trees, survive the parasites, and build complex social hierarchy. We are the only animal that builds its own skin. Every time you get dressed, you aren't just putting on fabric. You are booting up your social OS. You are choosing which identity code to run for the day. You are participating in a 170,000-year-old game of status, survival, and sexual selection. Most people are just getting dressed. You just learned the hidden architecture of the second skin. If this deep dive into the prehistoric wardrobe helped you see your closet a little differently, hit that like button. Subscribe to more journeys into the hidden signals of human evolution. Go out there, read the fabric code, wear your status with intent, and remember, don't be a naked ape, don't be a fashion victim, be a pro. See you in the next one.